Get down.
I gotta go.
No, where?
Say Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Say it again.
Chelsea.
Say it again.
Chelsea.
Yell it again.
Chelsea.
Yell it again.
Chelsea.
Receiving your letter concerning Massports' proposal of the new runway. I believe that there's a large number of unanswered questions regarding the new runway proposal. Among these are, has Massport utilized all of Logan's options to reduce the airport? Massport, they have a whole other airport in Enspire.
Yeah, I know they have. Yeah, I know it.
Are there enforceable guarantees that no overland flights using the new runway? See, they're saying they're just going to go over the water.
No, it ain't.
But even if they go over the water, we all live by the water.
Yeah. Did you hear that one this morning? I thought it was going to hit my house.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Huge.
That was a big... I thought it was going to hit my house.
Yeah.
Then it says, what mitigation measures will be provided to the impacted communities? They want to give us thick windows.
Yeah, thick windows.
Thick windows.
Yeah, I know they do, yeah.
Issue is that while those flights would go over the water, they would, in certain runway configurations, send twice as many or 3 times as many off of 27 over Boston Harbor, but then over very densely populated neighborhoods in Boston and beyond. And at the other end, it would send 3 times as many flights over very populated neighborhoods, beginning in East Boston, as Eagle Hill, and then on to Chelsea, Everett, Malden, Somerville, and so on. So the advantages of the runway sending flights over the water are not advantages at all for people who will live under those other flight tracks.
I just want, in terms of the impact, the massive negative impact that this will have on the quality of our life, it is something that we ask and appeal to your sense of justice in terms of understanding, as was mentioned also by the previous speaker, all of the other things in our backyard, all of the other things that we have to live with on a day-to-day basis, salt piles and trucks and oil tanks and asphalt plants and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I ask you also to take this proposal in that context. It's not just about a runway. For all of us, it's about all of those things combined, and we ask you to look at that in that broad context in terms of what it's going to do to all the people in the surrounding community. I ask you also, as was mentioned by my colleague, to measure the environmental injustice that this proposal represents, and the disproportionate impact that it will have in the surrounding communities, given the economics, the socioeconomic of this community. And let me also mention that for every single person that's here in opposition, make no mistake, there are 50 and 100, 150 neighbors that are also in opposition. And that is precisely what the president is looking to combat. This notion that that everybody, if they're really opposed, they'll all be here. Well, let me tell you something. There are people in my community and in surrounding communities that are afraid to come to a meeting like this. And there are people that can't come to a meeting like this because of other commitments. Everybody that's here has taken time out of their personal life in something that a sacrifice they're making to come and speak to you this evening. But there are hundreds and hundreds of people who just aren't going to come for a number of reasons. And that is precisely what the environmental justice strategy is, that communities like ours have a lot of circumstances where we're not going to all come out. Not all 600,000 people are going to come in front of you. So don't wait for that. This is enough. These are the people that are telling you that they are here for their neighbors, they're here for their friends, their families, their children. And that's exactly... Again, in terms of this understanding that the communities we're dealing with, are not going to be coming up here in great numbers, and these are the folks that are representing them. Thank you very much, and again, I appeal to your justice, to your sense of justice, to put a stop to this proposal, and let them look for the alternatives and then take this up whenever, but no on Runway 1432. Thank you. Thank you.
All the cities are impacted by this. The people of Chelsea cannot afford to take this hit again. We've misplaced or replaced over 100-something homes, which took away millions of dollars of taxes when they put that bridge through our city. And then when we, MWRA, got stuffed down our throat, we were paying more on water, sewer bills than our taxes. Now, we have fought so hard, come back from so many situations, to have a city that is viable, that is alive, that is putting millions of dollars back into its streets, its sidewalks, its quality of life. Crime rates going down, trees going up, people coming to our schools. That's what's important. That's America. That's what Chelsea is all about. And the 28,000 people of Chelsea are with me, and we're against 1432. Thank you very much.
And people get very uncomfortable with that. And I'm sorry, but it's true. So to say, be careful, be careful, be careful, I can't be careful on that because I think it's the truth. But I certainly would be happy to work with anybody who wants to solve that problem. I just had one of the
airport impacted communities. And right now, just as a result of that study, it showed us that the respiratory disease rate, and that includes asthma and other types of respiratory diseases, the respiratory disease rate in our communities where you and I live, it's 61% higher than the state average. So if you take the average community in the state and then you compare our neighborhoods to what it should be, our respiratory disease rates are about 61% higher. So it's an important reason here, not only to stop the expansion of the runway, but also what the projections are is that the growth in flights into the existing airport are going to increase over the next 10 years. And so that's a bad omen for our local neighborhoods. And we have to remember that there's a long-term battle here as well. And that's to prevent 90% of the flights from going over South Boston and East Boston and Dorchester and Winthrop. That's the long-term battle here. So I want to remind you of the long-term fight even after we stop this one, which I'm confident that we can. There's a long-term battle here for the health of your children and your children's children. Thank you very much.
They're moving the birds out to fancy new homes on Cape Cod, right? And they obviously they're not making that same offer to the good folks in East Boston, Chelsea, Winthrop, etc. But most importantly, the environmental impact study of Massport, etc., doesn't consider the public health of people. Doesn't look at some of the problems we're looking at in our people's environmental impact study, which is we already have serious health problems in these neighborhoods. You look at the asthma data, the cancer data. We already have a small epidemic in those two arenas alone. They don't consider the fact that this section within which the airport sits is in violation of the Federal Clean Air Act already. And how it is you're going to expand an airport to, that handles 20 million people, and you're going to get to 40 or 46 million people over the next 10 or 15 years without increasing the volatile organics from the
jet fuel or the, every time the rubber touches down, there's heavy metals that are given off. So there's a whole bunch of problems they haven't looked at.
What are you leaving? A real team effort, huh?
If it hasn't become obvious, we've exhausted the list of supporters, so from here on out we'll be opponents. Mr. Cellini.
Hi, my name is Richard Cellini. I live in the Jeffries Point neighborhood of East Boston. I lived there for 47 years. First off, what alarms me the most, I mean, I can tell you about noise all day long. I mean, I sleep like 3 hours a night, but what alarms me the most, in my neighborhood of East Boston, they tell me, I heard Peter Blue come right out of his mouth that there's going to be little if no effects on the Jeffries Point neighborhood. Well, I beg to differ with him. According to his chart, in Volume 4 of the environmental draft, Appendix M, Table DM1-8. Runway, okay, this is on VOCs. Right now in 1999, you're around a level of 200. With a high build in 2010, it goes to 448. There is no place close, not even Eagle Hill, which is going to get 21,000 more flights. They only go to 372, which is still damn high. I want them to explain to me how the heck that goes to 448. Is it something to do with maybe the breeze that these planes have to take off into over the water that will blow the VOCs back into the community and over the brand new park that we fought 20 years to get? They gave us 6 acres of parkland when they took 71 from Wood Island Park, and now they want to pollute it. Furthermore, that figure that I gave you, which is the highest in the entire chart, does not take into consideration background levels, which is 3 tunnel vent buildings, an L Street power plant, and there's also a power station, a boiler plant on the airport. Doesn't even take into consideration those levels. That's number one. Number two, cost. They talk about costs and delays. Let me tell you a little about costs. Every time I leave my house, it costs me. Did you see this traffic jam out here tonight? I try to get to Revere. It used to take me 15 minutes to get to Revere. It could take me 40 minutes to get to Revere on a Friday night. It's insane. Talk about costs. It costs me between gas and the insurance. My insurance rates are one of the highest in the state because every time a rental car in the airport gets into an accident, guess whose insurance account's on? Mine. Another one. Let me give you another one. You know those VOCs that come down and create a nice layer of dust on everything? Well, that nice layer of dust causes me to have to leave my beautiful 4-foot slider that I got a beautiful breeze all summer long they cannot enjoy. It cost me, in air conditioning alone, something like $250, include another $100 on insurance and $100 extra for gas. What's it cost me? $450 to $500. How do you like that for cost? Times how many people? They talk about costs?
Please wrap it up, sir.
3, what are they doing to discourage, to increase use of other airports? They recently hired, in the March edition of the Airport Journal, it says, they hired a Wes Harper from Boeing Corp. And what are his duties? The Airport Journal says he will focus on attracting new international airline service to Boston, to Logan. In wrapping it up, I'd just like to say, I seen an interesting anti-smoking commercial today, this morning at 5 o'clock on TV, where it showed elders dying of smoke and children picking it up. And the bottom line was, don't take it personal, it's just big business without a conscience. Thank you.
lifelong resident of East Boston. In my backyard is this neighborhood. And in my backyard is this hotel, other hotels, a racetrack, a couple of tunnels, an awful lot of traffic, 3 tunnels, an awful lot of traffic. We are not people who say not in my backyard. We are used to living with unpleasant things in our backyard. But as I've heard said before, at some point, and the mayor said this quite well, at some point we have to say enough. And what you're hearing now is a group of people who are not trying to keep their community free of all urban pressure, of all urban negative effects. We understand we live in an urban area. When I bought my house in East Boston, after having grown up in my mother and father's house, I knew it was near an airport. I was aware of that. I knew there'd be airplane noise, but I'm not going to stand here and let you bring more airplane noise in. And finally, I saw the news accounts of your hearing last night. And again, I do appreciate you having a second hearing in the neighborhood. And I'm reserving some comments for them that I've also kept to myself. Last night we heard an awful lot of support for this runway from the Boston business community. The so-called pillars and leaders of our community. And you ought to understand that we all have motives for opposing this or supporting this. I've told you my motives is to improve the quality of life, to keep the quality of life for my family in East Boston. Those are my motives. The Boston business community, folks, should be ashamed of themselves.
61, I still like to learn things. I want to address something to the fine people of Massport. Why do you want to patch up Massport? I mean, the airport's old, it's falling apart. Something that goes around in my head. You got South Weymouth Naval Air Station, which was just abandoned by the government. It's capable of handling B-52 bombers. Why is it that nobody once tonight ever mentioned that airport? It's about 15 minutes drive from here, and maybe 10 minutes drive from downtown Boston. As I say, I'd like to learn. Can anyone from Massport tell me why no one's ever suggested using South Weymouth Naval Air Station? Other than the fact that the people in South Weymouth says they don't want to use it as an airport because it'll bring their value of their property down. Is that why you don't want to use it? Why don't you do me a favor? I lived there 61 years. Buy me out, and I could move somewhere. I don't know where I'll move, because I was born and raised here.
Buy me up too.
And maybe for the next 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years that I got left in life, I won't have to listen to your noise. Easter Sunday morning, I turned 61 years old. 5:30 in the morning, the sorties come over. I thought it was in Vietnam. 5 o'clock, the flames started. The evening before that, I went to a vigil, a midnight, a vigil mass. I had communion. And here's 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm cursing. And this went on, may God strike me dead, this went on all morning. I mean, look at the South Weymouth. Either that or buy me out and give me a kick in the ass and get me out of here.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
My name is Christopher Good, Director of Public Policy at the Massachusetts Business Roundtable, a statewide organization with 75 Massachusetts leading chief executives. The Roundtable's Board of Directors has voted unanimously to strongly...
How you doing? My name is Logan Brown. I'm a resident of East Boston. I was born and raised here. I still live here. I'm also a business owner in the city of Revere. And I want to speak, I really didn't prepare anything well. I figured, let me wing this. But I've listened to a lot of people here, and they that spoke a lot of concern. One thing I've noticed is, I mean, I've got a 15-minute walk, not even, at a slow speed from my house to Wonderland Station. One day, with the chaos of traffic, it took me about 35 minutes to get from my house to Wood Island Station. 3 city blocks. Expanding the runways, you can talk all that jargon you want, you can give me all your reports that you can pay for, but the thing that I see here is we talk about bringing in more, well, we want to alleviate delays. I won't deny there's delays. I can watch it from my house. We talk about trying to increase safety down the airport. How many times during the course of a day does it take when a plane comes in for a landing and it gets aborted? Because maybe someone approaches the runway slower. Maybe that just has to do with management, opposed to traffic. Travel, yeah, a lot of people come in and out of Boston. They see they want to come enjoy a historical society here, but unfortunately it's being diminished by the airport. Back in the early 90s, my house went through the soundproofing fiasco, I'll call it, because it was nothing but a fiasco. And when they were doing my house, I'm saying to myself, something's up. And then I see the park being built down the waterfront. Nice park. But I also say something's up. It's just kind of sugarcoating everything to pacify people of East Boston, Chelsea, Winthrop, Revere, and all the other surrounding communities. In the city of Revere, Route 60 is a major traveled road, was probably built, probably in the 20s to accommodate 20 cars. Back then, too, I think it was a runway then. But the thing is, too, is a lot of the times the people in Revere, and I've spoken on behalf of the people of Revere, argued about fire apparatus trying to get up Route 60 to North Revere. Traffic is a major issue. Expanding the runways, expanding the size of the buildings is not the issue Massport should be looking at. Massport should be looking at management control and trying to figure out how are we going to alleviate the problems that exist now before creating more problems. The taxi in the middle, something kind of bugs me there too. Because I remember watching through Cablevision at one point in time when we started cleaning the Boston Harbor. And at one point they were barging all the dirt out. And then at one point they couldn't barge it out because someone was complaining about something. Try to wrap it up, sir. Sure, no problem. And if I remember correctly, they were dumping some of the bottom of the Boston Harbor in between the runways. And if I remember correctly reading in the paper something about PCBs, something which is a cancer-causing agent. I'm not no science guy, but it's just amazing how much bull could be published and not state the real facts. I think people would probably work with Massport if Massport was straight and honest with them. But it's come to the point that people have said enough is enough.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
My name is Christopher Good, Director of Public Policy at the Massachusetts Business Roundtable, a statewide organization of 75 Massachusetts leading chief executives. The Roundtable's Board of Directors has voted unanimously to strongly
But I do think that the kind of strategy that I'm talking about is not to do the work of Massport. Sometimes it may come to that. It is how are we going about stopping them? Right? What's the strategy to do that? We have some eggs in the environmental basket. What are we doing with the business community? What are we doing with the government? I mean, what are the... So that's what I want to know, what the strategy is. Where are we going?
I do want to say that, and I'm glad you all stayed, because the Finance Committee is one of the most important committees on here. Without money, we ain't going nowhere. The money paid for the rally, the money paid for buses to get there, the money is paying for the letters circulating in all the communities to be sent to the various representatives that we need to address and let them know how we feel. The money paid for the bumper stickers. We need more people on this Finance Committee. I am a committee of one. This committee of one has raised almost $2,100 from the city of Chelsea. I need a committee come from every community. Somerville, Cambridge, Winthrop, East Boston, South Boston, the South End, Hull, Quincy. I need you. We're not going to go anywhere on Chelsea alone. So if anybody in this room that has not volunteered to be on a committee, we need you on the finance committee. We have wonderful ideas for the finance committee. An example, Melrose. We have no response from Melrose other than one person out there fighting Joe. We need money in our till so we can put ads in their newspapers so they know they're going to have a conference. We can't do that without them. The same in Everett. We're not getting a response from people in Everett. People in Everett are going to be just as affected. We need to get more money. We need to do fundraisers in various communities. We're talking about it now in Chelsea, some of the councils doing a fundraiser in Chelsea so we can raise another $1,000. We need other communities to do this. So I need help from people. We are going to go to various Chamber of Commerce in different cities to see if we can get funding from the chambers that oppose the runway. We need people to sit down and do letters to Worcester business people and ask them if they want to give us money to help get the business out there. So I need help. I just can't do this alone.
In honor to introduce Congressman Joseph Moakley.
We're going to stand together. We will prevail. And what we're seeing this evening, we will win this fight. It will not be the fight by Logan Airport. Thank you.
Mary Ellen, you've been admiring me for too far away for too long. We gotta get closer. Thank you very much. I'm here this afternoon to give you my commitment that I'm going to do everything in my power to stop the construction of runway 1432. It's the wrong thing to do at this time. Quite simply, building this new runway is the wrong thing to do.
I wanted to say something about, and too bad he's not here anymore, the man from the Mass Aeronautic Commission. As far as the second airport goes, he said that the airport that would have been situated out in Fort Devens was too far away and the airlines wouldn't go that far. Out in Colorado, the new Denver International Airport is 40 miles from Denver. It is a state-of-the-art airport with state-of-the-art technology. Stapleton was a lot closer to the city of Denver. It was practically in Denver. They didn't say, let's build a new runway. They went out and built a new airport, and that's the difference. We are so far behind here as far as Band-Aid approach. But let me get into the environmental because we don't have that much time. The environmental, you know, what I get upset about is when they try to compare the city of Boston with the city of Seattle because they're basically sort of the same size. They are as different as night and day. The city of Boston was established in the early 1600s, and the city streets were designed as car paths. They are not highways. The North End, East Boston, South Boston, Winthrop, all around the neighborhoods, those streets are not going to get any bigger today, tomorrow, or 100 years from now. They cannot accommodate the overflow from Logan International Airport.
I'm around the Heights area, that's where I live. This morning I wake up, I go out my front porch, what I smell? Jet A fuel blowing at me from a 777 from British Airways. I went in the house, without a cell, I could breathe better. Not from the planes, the noise level, I'm not trying to get mad. The noise level's got to cool down. Get rid of the 27s, get rid of the 737s, and get rid of the DC-8s at 11:30 at night, and 1:45 in the morning blasting down the runway. That's it, I had enough noise level. You people can do it, And another thing, don't put him on a runway, please. I'm asking it nicely. Just chill out, man. That's the way it is.
Way to go, Tony!
Milan, Berlin, Paris, Rome, Athens. Every one of these airports have two major airports, and none of them are 10 or 20 minutes from downtown, any one of the major cities that I mentioned. None of them are 10 or 20 minutes, and I never gave any thought about how long it would take me to get to Rome, Athens, Paris when I got there. My argument is this. Logan Airport is 75 years old, 4 years older than me. I feel my age. I want to do a lot of things, but my body won't let me do it. Logan Airport, formerly the Boston Municipal Airport, has served Boston, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the United States of America, and the world in them 75 years. Let's give Logan a break. She served us in World War II. She served us in Vietnam. She served us during the Cuban Missile Crisis with B-52 bombers. I don't know how many airports can say this, with atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs on its runways, and we never complained about it. Please wrap it up. Logan Airport is a grand old dame of airports in New England. Let's treat her with respect. Let her go. Enough is enough.
Sit down.
Let's go.
No, where?
Say Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Say it again.